Back in 2012, my good friend Greg MacGillivray, who is an IMAX documentary film producer, told me he was starting work on a film about a place called Raja Ampat in West Papua. It has the most biodiverse marine environment on the planet, and I thought I would really like to go to this place and see it. So I told Greg, hey, you should take me along. I could make really good music that fits the place and blah, blah, blah. And he said, great idea. So I made 2 trips down there with him. And this first installment of 3 is about the first landing that we did in a town called Sorang, which has an airport that's fairly close to the island with the village that was going to be the main focus of our film. He basically, sent me on my way, figured this thing out, and I got a little tour of local music, which ended up being basically going to people's homes and hearing them play. And if you've been to the South Pacific, you know everybody there plays music, so I didn't feel like I was getting an in-depth view of Papuan music. I was kind of at a loss. One night, Greg and the production crew were having a meeting at one of the better restaurants in town, a seafood place on a pier over the ocean, and I tagged along. A couple of amazing things happened that night. First, after we finished this fine meal, the waiter came to clean up, and he took all the paper plates and all the leftover food and just tossed it in the ocean, which was a shock. The other thing was the lounge, there was a duo playing mostly kind of pop hits that I recognized. And on the break, I went up and asked the piano player if he knew anybody that knew about Papuan music. And he said he thought he could help me. Well, it turned out he was the perfect guy. I mean, of all the gin joints in all the world, I walked into his. His name was Ronald Paprindi, and he helped me make a score that, and write these songs that really, I believe, captured a lot of the flavor of this place. So this is first installment is about that part, and then we will make our way to this island eventually. But this is the first installment. I hope you enjoy it. Here's the Runway in Sorang in West Papua. The Runway is a major thoroughfare, and scooters and people scatter every time a plane lands. West Papua is the western half of the island of New Guinea. High in mineral wealth, it was basically expropriated in the 60s by the more advanced government in Indonesia. These things happen. Sorang is a classic boom town, drawing islanders from small villages to the big city. Many little businesses, lots of things to do. Indulge in your passion for pink. Here are some storage sheds for the local fishermen. And here is a business district in the old town. Several times a day, the police come out of the station and set up a checkpoint. Let's say you're a scooter rider and your papers are not in order. What are you going to do? You're going to sit around and wait until they go back inside. Oh yeah, and classic. Oil Ridge Outpost has huge lines for gasoline, leading to perhaps dangerous secondary markets. The area is pretty evenly split between local Christian Papuans and Muslim Indonesians who started moving here in the 60s. We came to this lumberyard with houses all through it to get some wood for some of our filming needs. The place is just stacked with beautiful local hardwoods. And high-tech tools that I didn't recognize. I asked my friend and co-composer Ronald Paprindi to show me some places that were more traditionally Papuan. Well, the architecture is the first thing you think of, but the people are what you remember. You think these guys have a PlayStation at home? Outside of town, pretty laid back. Here's the beach where the local Papuans go on the weekends. No litter laws here.
What was the name of that beach where we just were?
Tanjung.
Tanjung?
Tanjung Beach.
Tanjung Kasuari.
Tanjung Kasuari.
That's my friend Ronald there on the left. Speaking of litter, there's really no overarching authority that tries to police that. This is pretty much just a conglomeration of a bunch of individuals trying to make a living. They come from places with so few people that litter has never really been a problem. It's a problem here in the city, though. And infrastructure? Here's the sewer. Trash collection? And a lot of the sewers spill into the river as well. If you're always complaining about the EPA, this might be the place for you. Just outside this market, the communal area looks like this. Walk into the market itself, and everything is meticulously laid out and cared for. The kids are friendly in town, too. This is really a fun place to be. They're not used to seeing tourists, so they didn't look at me as a way to make money. This is a local fish market. The grown-ups are friendly, too. A lot of the local restaurants are really just somebody's kitchen. And warning, don't tell them you like your food hot. In the early stages of my search for music, I went to some local houses in Sorang. I was basically learning about the instruments that they use and some of their preferred furniture.
There's a stool. Okay, now sit.
My friend Ronald took me to see a local Suling Tambur band. Suling Tambur, flutes and drums. I would call it a highly evolved vestige of their Dutch colonial past. Not to be politically incorrect, but I doubt there's too many Dutchmen that can groove like this. I used some of this in the score. Here's another variation on the Suling Tambur sound. This is a big deal here in Papua. They have large competitions, and every ethnic community has its own groups and style. My time in Sorang draws to an end, and my friend Ronald and I board a Coast Guard cutter with the MacGillivray Freeman film crew for our trip to Raja Ampat.